Namaste and welcome all the participants today. This is a very special talk we are organizing on integrating the Ayurveda yoga therapy for the management of migraine headache. It's done by the Cerimed and IWSP. And I will briefly introduce what is Cerimed, what is IWSP, and my privilege also to introduce our very special speaker, Dr. Bashunda Sharma ji. And then we have our Shamiji is one of the cornerstone of our IWSP program. Um, After that, the speaker will talk in this very special subject, and consequently, if you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat box. We'll take it up after her talk. So, with this brief note, let me introduce the Cerimed now. It's very newly formed group called Center for Research in Integrated Medicine. And we do research, not only research, conduct a lot of events like we are doing today, where we integrate our almost forgotten ancient wisdom of the Indian science of yoga and other therapies, along with the modern science. And that's where we are doing for last 1 year, and we continue to do it in future and to bring this concept and awareness among the public. And we regularly conduct another important event called Integrated Wellness Science and Practices. Since last year, we have finished almost 4 different batches, and we'll tell you later when is the next course coming up. With this few words, and we have our uh, website also, cerimed.in, where you can see what is Cerimed doing, other things, and also IWSP available at myiwsp.com. With these few words now, it's my really privilege to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Vasudha Sharma. She is the Director of Medical Services of Vivekananda Health Global, which is headquartered in Bangalore and which handles various integration activities on Ayurveda, yoga, and naturopathy for the better treatment outcomes. She holds a multiple hat, being a director of medical service. She also entrepreneur in the same subject, and she's an international speaker with a 20 years of clinical experience. Obviously, she holds a educational degree in Ayurveda, but also master's and PhD in yoga from the well-known Esvarsha University. Also, I'm finding very encouraging that she published also many papers which discuss the research on migraine. Hopefully, you will know some of those aspects today during her course of presentations. And she's a clinical practitioner with a lot of experience. And her specialization include integrative pan, pain management with a focus on migraine headache and also women health problems, including infertility. She is also adjunct faculty divisions of the Esvasha University, and also she is a external examiner for the Department of Sports, Science and Yoga, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute in Belur Math from near Kolkata. And she also reviews article. I don't know where he gets all the time. She reviews article also from the Journal of Ayurveda and Integrated Medicine. And she's a regular speaker in both international and national um, conferences, and that we are very fortunate to see her get her time to talk to us today. With this brief note, I will now request Swamiji to talk briefly about on this subject or briefly about the speaker. About over to Swamiji.
Namaskar, a warm welcome to all our esteemed participants. As we all know, CERIMED, Center for Research in Integrated Medicine, comprising a team of people who are really interested to provide something which can really help people towards wellness. So with this intention, we keep on conducting CERIMED talks regularly. Today, it's our privilege to have one of the best speakers on the given topic, migraine. how to manage migraine comprehensively with integrated medicine and approach. And it's very interesting, the topic given, Ayurveda and Yoga. So by the word Ayurveda, we understand some medicine, something which can make us free from some sort of disease. But ideally, Ayura Arogya Ruddhi, Ayurveda helps us in improving our health, and also it increases our longevity. And yoga, by the word yoga, we may understand in general some asana, some pranayama, which can help us to get rid of some disease. But by the word yoga, we mean yoga yunjate. Yoga means to become one, Jivatma becoming one with Paramatma. So that's about the highest things that we have in our mind. To reach there, we have to begin from the beginning. So many of the people keep on complaining about, I have got this, cervical spondylosis, low backache, which are very common. So coincidentally, Dr. Vasudha's main interest is migraine and also managing low backache, which is very common complaint from one and all, one or the other time, we have gone through these sufferings. So, to start with, we have a very important topic, migraine. When I know this topic, many of the people send messages. It's a very good topic. We'd like to invite many of our friends. I know all our IWSP participants, regular IWSP participants, have invited their friends and relatives who are really keen in learning about migraine. So we have got one of the best person to speak on the subject, Dr. Vasudha, as we have heard about her knowledge, her experience, her keen interest in reaching out people through lectures and through articles and her research work, her teachings. So we are really fortunate to have such a speaker on the topic, role of Ayurveda and yoga in the management of migraine. So not taking much time now, let me welcome Dr. Vasudha on behalf of all of you who have joined, and especially from our team, Serimed, myiwsp.com team. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Vasudha. Now over to Dr. Vasudha. I request all the participants to listen her carefully, note down, and any questions, please put in the chat box then and there. And in the end, if time permits, we shall also take some live questions. Over to Vasudha. Namaskar.
Thank you, Swamiji, for your wonderful words of welcome and appreciation. So I look forward for a wonderful interaction further on, and would definitely disseminate the knowledge I have across the group here, and further on look towards answering a couple of questions as well, as you said. So I thank Serimed for this opportunity, and Swamiji especially for bringing me here. Thank you. So I think with this we will also begin the presentation. So I will have a short presentation for all of you, where I'll be just explaining to you about this whole journey of understanding how migraine pain can be managed holistically using the holistic systems of healing, the Indian systems of healing, which are Ayurveda and yoga. So before we even get into the subject, very, very briefly, all of us know when we say brain, everybody is like, oh, okay, this is one of the most spoken about organ, or one of the most sensitive organ. So people have different apprehensions when we talk about brain, but everybody knows that it's a very, very important organ in our body, and it is the organ which is controlling the whole body. So briefly, when we talk about brain, we know there are 4 lobes, and they are called temporal lobe, occipital lobe, parietal lobe, and frontal lobe. So modern anatomy further on explains in detail, and physiology talks about how each lobe is meant to specifically look at different physiological processes or functions in the body. So when we say, for example, if we just take the occipital lobe, we know the vision is where it is, the specific function of the lobe is. When we take the frontal lobe, so frontal lobe is here. So when we look at that, we look at emotions, we look at speech, all that, which is due to the frontal lobe. So likewise, since, not getting into the depth of this, my attention or, what I'm trying to do is draw your attention towards this subject of migraine, which is a neurological problem and therefore originating from the brain. And when we talk about migraine, there are different, types of migraine. But today we're going to concentrate on migraine without aura. And we should definitely understand that migraine can come with aura, it can come without aura. Now there is chronic migraine. We see different other classifications such as complications, probable migraines, and many more types of migraine as such. And all this is basically based on the international classification of disorders. And when we specifically want to understand what migraine is all about, especially how do you understand that it is migraine without aura, it is basically one-sided. When you say one-sided, it's either left or right or sometimes both, but it is usually, moderate to severe. It is pulsatile. So, people with migraine always say it is like, something is hitting me, tap, tap kind of a feeling. And it can be very, very intense many times. And that is where the problem lies. Management of pain becomes essential. Next, migraine usually lasts for this duration of 4 to 72 hours. And therefore, with all this understanding of migraine, it also definitely has large impact on our cells. It is also associated with many more problems such as nausea, vomiting, or both many times. And keeping all this in view, it is said to be one of the 8 chronic disorder. In list of chronic disorder, it is placed 8th. And it is also a disabling disorder, because it can really disable a person to a level that he just cannot do anything. He has to just lie down across and then sleep in a dark room, and then probably it would reduce. So still it is only probable that it would reduce. And what is the population in the world which is affected with migraine? As per one of the studies, it is almost 11.6 of the world population, as per a study in 2017, is affected with migraine. So this tells us that there is a large population, but people do not know that it has to be treated, because many times it goes unnoticed. This is also what research says. When we understand about migraine with aura, it comes with, when you say aura, what is it all about? Aura is something addition which happens. It could be in the form of a visual aura, where people find some kind of flashes, they find something coming in front of their eyes. It could be sensory in nature, where they might feel a tingling sensation on the arm, tingling sensation in the neck. So what is the difference between the two is, usually in a migraine with aura condition, they start experiencing this. And usually between say 10 to 60 minutes or around an hour, people start feeling the headache. So people with aura classically give us this complaint that, okay, I'm starting to feel, and then I know I'm going to get a headache. When it comes for the first time, obviously they cannot recognize, but slowly they start recognizing this problem. So overall, our focus is going to be there on migraine today. So therefore, we should definitely understand what triggers migraine, what could be the various reasons due to which migraine can occur. So when you look at the dietary elements of migraine triggers, we understand that coffee is one of the major trigger. So many times colloquially people say, oh, I'm having a headache, let me go have a cup of coffee. But with respect to migraine, as you know, the kind of reflux which it causes, or the kind of trigger it causes, is immense. So people should understand that caffeine in coffee itself is one of the trigger for migraine. Similarly, you have different other ingredients in food which can cause, like you have meat which has nitrates, you have some other aerated drinks which has tyramine, and many more things such as histamine in some of the food products. So a lot of these packaged, processed, baked, dairy food, all these can definitely trigger migraine. And some of the nuts especially can trigger, but we are only trying to identify some of them, not largely identify everything which can trigger migraine. And people also say, some of them may say if I eat a peanut it triggers, some of them say no, it doesn't trigger. So there is a lot of variation like this. So it is never very common to the large population with migraine. So similarly, we should also know that diet is definitely a major factor, but lifestyle is nowhere can be left out, because it's one of the crucial triggering factor, especially in migraine. So when you look at lifestyle, what all happens? So stress and strain is there across everyone's life, and say post COVID, everybody is stressed because they're working from home. So many more stressors like this. Somebody is distressed at personal life, somebody is distressed at professional life. So many more problems like this. What all can happen due to stress? It is an inducing factor, right? With this, next your sleep gets disturbed, and then you may not be physically and mentally very all right to take up different activities of the day. So you might start feeling a little fatigued. Apart from this, your the time you eat, what you eat is definitely very, very important. But when you eat, you might have a delayed food. Sometimes you're eating at right intervals. Sometimes because of work, instead of eating at 1 in the afternoon, you might land up eating at 3 in the afternoon. So that might trigger a migraine headache. And then you also have large sounds, flashes of lights, or something which is flickering. These are some of the other predispositions to migraine as seen in individuals. Apart from this, yes, smoking, alcohol are definite triggers, and you also have a genetic predisposition to the onset of migraine. So these factors really help us understand how do we go around when we're trying to solve the problem. Therefore, it is essential to understand what can trigger it. Now, diet, lifestyle, environment, can we omit it with migraine? We should not, rather, because many a times if we look at, people are afraid of traveling. Especially when I say people, I'm talking about migraineurs. Those of them who suffer from migraine are afraid to travel, because it can definitely lead to a trigger of migraine, and they know how bad it is when a pain happens. They have to pop a pill many times, even that doesn't work. And I know many of them do not want to take a pill all the time, because there is a larger impact of regular analgesic intake as well. So identifying these factors, such as extreme weather conditions, so when it is cloudy, at many times it gets induced. When there's bright sunlight, nobody with a migraine wants to go out in the afternoon, because they know that that trigger can happen due to this fluctuation of or variation of the temperature. And then you have the pressure difference, which can also get induced, stress and strain in travel, and many more things. It could be the odor, it could be the air quality, exposure to different sounds, light, many more things. So therefore, environmental factors also are definite triggers when it comes to onset of migraine. Not only this, we also understand that there are different other attributing factors, such as medication. Sometimes, medicines also trigger an episode of migraine. We definitely have understood that when women take hormonal pills like like OCP, then it does induce a migraine headache. Similarly, medication overuse can lead to a migraine trigger. Then apart from this, there are some things which are out of our way, like a trauma or a head injury. And then there are other tests, which are invasive in nature, such as, suppose, you want to undergo an MRI. And then in the MRI, what happens? You'll have to get into that tunnel kind of a structure where you have to go in. So with that sound, which can happen with this kind of a non-invasive procedure as well, it can still induce a migraine in an individual. So many more other, kind of triggering factors we are talking about. And therefore, it is essential for us to note how this can contribute and how we can also reverse it with an understanding, right understanding of the same. So now coming to the fact that yes, we have understood what can trigger. Now let's say what happens after the trigger. When there are etiological factors or factors that can lead to an onset of a headache, what happens is in the brain. So that's why first of all we spoke about brain. You can see this kind of this picture there on the presentation, which shows that there is this kind of a wave of depolarization which slowly starts after a trigger. So, all of you know what a cyclone is. What happens in a cyclone? There is depression. So there is sudden silence, then because of the depression, we see the rains when it comes on the land. So similar process, it's just an example for you to understand what exactly happens in the brain. So this wave of depression or depolarization slowly starts moving up, starting from the occipital lobe. So starting from here, it slowly starts moving up, and then it goes on, on top, and then moves also towards the frontal lobe. So this very clearly tells us that this wave, of depolarization slowly starts spreading. And this theory, based on which, I just explained, is called a theory of cortical spreading depression. And this is one of the most commonest understanding for how migraine occurs. So there are many more, pathophysiological aspects which have been mentioned, but since we're not getting into any of the details, just briefly tells you how you understand the process. And therefore, when a person has migraine, he undergoes sometimes, he has a vomiting history, because the nerves, which are here, start getting affected. And then when he goes down, say here, there is this trigeminal pathway. So you have a nerve which is called a trigeminal nerve, which supplies to the eyes, to this chin and cheek area. So what does a person with migraine undergo? He undergoes eye pain, he undergoes frontal pain, sometimes ear pain. So all this you can relate it to where the nerve supply is and how it happens. So therefore, this exactly gives us the understanding of why these problems actually happen. Now, the problem happens, and we understand it is a very, very large influence at what all levels: personal level, familial level, therefore, and therefore at the social level. And the impact can, transform psychologically and physically, definitely. And not it affects the person so much that his occupation, his academics, his social behavior and interactions, his leisure time, all of them start getting influenced. Now, when we take up some studies on migraine, we do a simple test, or using a questionnaire. And the questionnaire is called MIDAS. So it's called Migraine Disability Assessment Score. So what this says, it's a simple 5-question questionnaire, but it says, in the last 3 months, how many days have you missed your office? So such questions which are trying to assess what is the level of the influence of migraine he or she has had on his overall activity, at especially, trying to measure his activity where he knows that he needs to be able enough and not disabled enough not to do that. So having understood, what exactly happens, what are the triggers, and then why it occurs, what is the influence it has largely, now we need to know how do we manage. And when we start understanding the management, briefly, conventional medicine, modern medicine, or allopathy as we call, offers definitely a good range of therapy, starting from analgesics to antiemetics to many more, as per the signs and symptoms of. And then the migraine management is also quite advanced, where they use mainly amitriptylines or triptans and many more like this when it comes to the pharmacological line of treatment. And next, when we say how does the holistic systems of healing offer therapy, and why do we actually need the holistic sciences to also pitch in now? One, because we say conventional medicine is definitely able to offer therapy, but it may not be, or it is unable to offer long-term solutions without side effects. And adherence to the prophylactic therapy, which is basically offered, may be low. This is what research studies also show. And 50% of the individuals who have migraine and who take the prophylactic treatment actually drop off because they cannot take medicines all the time, right? Practically, when we see this with many. And medication overuse can be an associated problem, because many of them, maybe 3 months, they go to a physician or a neurologist, and after that they say, anyway, I have the medicine, let me follow. Especially in Indian scenario, we see a lot of this happening. And just to clarify, when you say prophylaxis, what it means is a line of treatment which is exclusively to manage the problem. So if you use an analgesic, it is symptomatic therapy. It is just bringing down your pain. But when you use a prophylaxis, that means to say you're trying to counteract the problem with a set of designated medication. And similarly, Ayurveda and yoga also offer this designated methodology of treatment. Though Ayurveda and yoga can independently offer treatment to a problem like migraine, our interest is to understand how do you integrate and why do you integrate. First of all, why do we integrate? So we integrate because Ayurveda offers lot of physical benefits, not that it does not offer psychological benefits, but yoga offers a greater psychological benefit, and therefore the mind body balance which we achieve using both of them is largely going to impact the person's recovery. And this is very close to the belief of individuals, especially in India, because these are traditional systems. A lot of them is rooted within ourselves, but people have not been able to explore. So if I have to just give a very, very simple example, when we say why Ayurveda, yoga, together. So in my clinical practice, I've also seen this. Earlier, I used to only practice Ayurveda when I started my clinical practice, so 20 years ago. So I started, whenever I used to see a migraine case, there used to be a problem. Now I've given them what I would like to, and they're on medication, but still I see there is an influence. Now, what is the take home I have given them? I've not given them anything except the medication, lifestyle, yes, dietary changes, and lot more. But anything to do on a day-to-day basis to keep their mind calm was definitely lacking. Therefore, yoga as additional therapy started working wonders and started giving that change. So this observation helped me also dive a little more into it to understand how both these sciences start complementing each other greatly, and therefore offer a great solution to a set problem. And when we try to understand how are these conceptualized and what concepts we can try to adapt, all of you should understand that Ayurveda definitely has a large holistic approach. And since you have also attended many talks, you know what are the basic principles Ayurveda is based on. And when we start defining a definition of swastha or a healthy person, Ayurveda beautifully explains and says, Samadosha samagnischa samadhatu malakriyaha prasannatmendriya manaha swastha itya vidhiyate. So it's just not about samadosha, a balanced dosha, a balanced dhatu, a balanced mala, but you need a balanced atma, the self, the indriyas, your sense organs, and the manas, which is the mind. So all these are extremely important to have a prakriti which is supporting your body. So when we say Ayurvedic prakriti, so you understand, we say it's a vata prakriti individual or a pitta individual or a kapha individual. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't have the other two. He definitely has the other two. But when we say he's a vata individual, that means he has a predominance of vata. When you score or when you understand, pitta may be second, kapha may be third, or kapha may be second, pitta may be third, but finally he's a vata dominant person. So this is how the prakriti analysis would help us, and this is talking about the absence of any pathology, and that is how you have to derive the prakriti. And this is further influenced by the pathya or the diet which Ayurveda talks about, and further on Ayurveda talks about treatment lines and widely classifies it into Shodhana and Shamana. Shodhana referring to the purificatory measures and Shamana referring to the pacificatory measures, which includes medicines as well. And when we talk about yoga, we know that yoga talks about samatvam, or the balance, which is essential. Yoga talks about chitta vritti nirodha. So how do you reduce the thought process in the mind? And this is what we need to adapt with the Ayurvedic principles, which have already been, deep rootedly understood. And therefore, this concept of Panchamahabhuta, Panchakosha, and Tridosha, Saptadhatu, Trimala, all of them play a very crucial role when we look at the patient centric approach. And therefore, that holistic process, which we talk about, brought us to a study. And this is where I would also draw your attention to, based on what we explained and based on the experience which I just shared. We therefore, studied migraine headache without aura in about 30 individuals. And we studied the influence of the two systems on the MIDAS, which is the Migraine Disability Assessment Score. We used Perceived Stress Scale. We used another questionnaire called Comprehensive Headache Related Quality of Life Questionnaire. And of course, we had a symptom checklist. We also measured and recorded the heart rate variability and recorded the surface electromyography of all the individuals. So, and we studied them on day 1 before anything started, on day 30, and on day 90. So on the whole, it was a 3-month study, and we had 2 groups. One group had only Ayurveda and yoga, and the other group, of course, was the control group, where they were not on any prophylaxis, but they were only on symptomatic management. And this is how the study gave us larger details and made us understand how you really complement the tradition with science, and therefore adapt this to heal many more. And you also have a backup, because you understand what really has happened, what brought in the change, because principally, theoretically, the systems have definitely elaborated, but when we have the scientific evidence, it definitely gives us larger scope. And this is where I would like to share what we intervened with. So we intervened with an Ayurveda Panchakarma. So we did a strict Ayurveda Virechana Karma for all the individuals, the 30 individuals in the Ayurveda and yoga group. And it's not an easy task at all, because giving 30 people Virechana, observing them for across the 90 days was a task. But yes, when we see the results, we forget about how much of effort we had to put. And once the intervention of Panchakarma was done, then we followed up with yoga therapy. We taught every individual yoga therapy, which is a one-on-one session, having the migraine module with us. And they were asked to practice that themselves for the next, 75 days or 60 days. They were followed up. And yes, we did some follow-ups to understand that they were going the right way. So with this intervention, this is what we find. So our findings very clearly stated that after the 90 days of intervention, the Ayurveda yoga group definitely had less attacks of migraine. So 5 or more attacks started reducing, and in the control group, you don't see a significant change at all. That's day 1, day 30, and day 90. Similarly, the maximum duration of an attack started reducing, because there were people who came with 48 hours, 72 hours was the duration of one migraine episode, despite medication. There were some of them who were taking injectables to manage their pain. But at the end of 30 days, we were so glad to see that they were out of all this. And yes, you can see that yourself. So the maximum duration of attack had significantly reduced at the end of 90 days. And even when we start eliciting the symptoms further, the severity of the headache, signs and such as nausea and vomiting, all of them had significantly reduced. And apparently, you should look at this: the analgesic requirement of an individual was largely reduced after our intervention using Ayurveda yoga. So with this overall perspective, we should now try to understand that yes, we have seen great changes, but how have these changes really happened? What could be the probable mechanism? So this is interesting, because this is where people would like to know more. According to Ayurveda, migraine individuals usually have elevated pitta. And we also understand from various scientific studies that the pitta is related or upregulated in some of the pitta individuals. And in the pitta individuals, we also see larger oxidative stress. And this pathway of oxidative stress, which is upregulated, tells us and helps us understand that okay, the pitta individual can be susceptible to migraine. So this was another abstract which we also published in Cephalalgia, where we were able to relate that pitta individuals were prone to migraine. So this was just another different study which we did. And overall, you also should know that we have used some medications. So after the intervention of Panchakarma, we did put people on oral medication for those 75-80 days post Panchakarma. And in the combination we had herbs such as Triphala, Neem, turmeric, Gulwel, Kalmeg, and they all show a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. Now, when we say Triphala has got large adaptogenic effects. Neem, which we have used, shows anti-proliferative, anti-inflammatory benefits. Similar is Gulwel, so it is a very good immune modulator. So we have a combination of herbs. So it's called a polyherbal compound. So when you look at this, an overall influence of every herb which has got different properties is what starts escalating the overall property of that particular compound which we use. And this is just a depictive picture for you to recognize how each herb would look. So Terminalia chebula, Terminalia belle, which is called haritaki, Terminalia bellerica, which is called vibitaki, Embolica officinalis is nothing but our Indian gooseberry or amla, Andrographis is otherwise very well known as Kalmegha, Curcuma is turmeric, so the Indian spice, Azadirachta indica, which is neem or nimba, and Tinospora, which is Gulwel. So these were the most predominant of the ingredients in the polyherbal combination. So likewise, now we need to know how yoga could have probably helped, because in the whole process, Ayurveda was followed by yoga. So yoga has been largely researched, and we have known the impact of yoga with respect to pain, and many studies have shown that pain intensity, pain frequency have definitely reduced following the intervention of yoga. So this could be possible because of the autonomic balance which yoga brings in. It can calm down our sympathetic nervous system, therefore bringing up a better parasympathetic dominance or the autonomic balance. And various studies have also supported this, and one study exclusively for migraine, if I have to just specifically draw your attention to, is a study where they have used a technique of the MBSR to and they've studied MIDAS, which is the questionnaire, and headache impact test was also done through the questionnaire. And here they found that definitely the impact of the headache especially has reduced. And this is how overall, if we bring and conglomerate everything into one, the probable ways in which they have worked, the proposed ways which they have worked, is the Ayurvedic component has brought in reduced oxidative stress, inflammatory cytokines, and also the change in lifestyle has added on. And when it comes to yoga, we have seen that there is a better sympathetic, reduced sympathetic dominance or a better autonomic balance, with maybe reduced inflammatory cytokines, increased GABA, serotonin, and therefore reduced pain. And on the whole, this is how the study helped us to evaluate whatever we were trying to do using Ayurveda yoga. And this has really, helped us leap forward with confidence. Furthermore, as we just slowly close off, I would also like to share what could be the other methodologies which practitioners do use when you treat a problem like migraine. So Nasya is a very simple Ayurveda therapy where there is, nasal installation of medicated drops, which helps in reducing the intensity and also attacks of migraine. Shirodhara is a very well-known de-stress procedure, and the way it acts is straightforward to the understanding of many, that it brings down stress and therefore brings down reduced migraine episodes, or probably can stop if it is very minimal. Shiropichu or an oil padding therapy is also used very commonly. And when we look at other systems of healing, massage therapy of naturopathy, cold packs, acupuncture, these are other modalities as well. So when you look at cold packs, this is the most quicker way somebody can help themselves when they're at home, because when you do a cold pack, you lead to a vasoconstriction, because vasodilatation or dilatation of a vessel is one of the reason for trigger of migraine. And when you do a cold pack, cold can compress, cold can slightly constrict, and therefore the pain intensity would start reducing. And next, when it comes to acupuncture, it's a very well-known methodology for pain management. Now, how does it do this? And I'll just now take a couple of minutes to give you a very interesting understanding about how this works. So there is a concept called gate control theory. And what is this all about? So in the spinal column, or the what you should understand, there are some gates which can open and close. So when you have open gates, you have a lot of these pain perceptions moving around, moving from the spinal column to your brain. And when the gates are closed, as much as possible, the pain sensations do not transfer or transmit from the spinal column to your brain. So these are some of the receptors, and they're called as nociceptors. So very simple understanding is acupuncture works at the level of the gate control, and it can help close most of your gates so that it can help reduce the pain. And therefore it's wonderful. We do use acupuncture at our clinics here in Bangalore, and we definitely find many people getting a lot of relief after we use acupuncture. And for today, therefore, this large understanding of whatever I took you through, the key takeaways for people who are trying to say, how do I help myself if I have a migraine? Or how do I help somebody, a friend, a family member with migraine? Is relax your muscles, keep yourself a little stress-free, emotionally stress-free, keep your emotional balance intact, add less preservatives, less additives, eat less processed food or almost none from outside. So when I say this, outside food can always stay away, avoid even things like cheese, paneer, which are processed on a very regular basis, chocolates, ice creams on a regular basis, and lifestyle modification otherwise is a very, very important aspect. When we talk about lifestyle, first thing which is ring is yoga. So that is one of the best lifestyle modifications for the modern times for all of us, for whether we have a migraine, whether we don't have a migraine, or any XYZ problem. So for today, the definite takeaway and the understanding is pain is of course inevitable, but the suffering we would want to undergo is optional. That is what Gautam Buddha has said, and therefore I would extrapolate it by saying pain from migraine can be inevitable, but suffering from migraine is optional definitely. And therefore explore the strength of the systems such as Ayurveda and yoga, and allow the inevitable to happen. Get rid of your pain, and stay healthy and stay safe. And this will give you a better quality of life, and that is essential for you to always feel blessed in life. So I'll close my presentation here, and look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you very much. Thanks once again, Cerimed, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Basudha Sharma, for this wonderful, looks like a simple subject, but first time I realized there's so much in it, and the science and in where the Ayurveda and yoga really gone in depth, and you brought that such a complex subject with a beautiful way. So that's really, I found sometime difficult to understand, but at the same time you made it so simple. I'll request Dr. Sushil Sharma if he wants to make some comments or queries on this complex subject from the medical point of view. Dr. Sushil Sharma, please.
Well, thank you, Subrataji. Thank you, Vasudhaji. This was a beautiful illustration. And what I really liked is your emphasis on prevention. And prevention as well as lifestyle modification, and some things that you suggested to prevent these things. Somehow in a very mild form, all of us experience it. Every time I eat a chocolate, I get headache. I know it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And somehow dark chocolate was one of my passions. So I gave it up, and I don't get the headache. So I think it was very nice that you emphasized on the preventive aspect and the lifestyle modification. And that is what we try to do here at Cerimed through IWSP, along with Swamiji, Integrated Wellness Science and Practice, which is heavy on prevention. So thank you very much. This was a beautiful presentation. I learned a lot, and thank you for enlightening us on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sushil Sharma, for that bringing that concept very much to the forefront. There is Shamiji requested a question which I think it will be useful for many of the participants. Can you suggest some asanas and pranayama for migraine? So you can demonstrate as well. Dr. Vasudha, please.
Sure. Okay. So when we look at see some asanas, of course, main thing is to keep your neck muscles free, not keep them stiff, because many times a migraine headache begins from a very stiff neck and a stiff shoulder. So on a regular basis, do neck stretching, and there is a very special technique which is called as head rolling, where you have to place your head, probably on a mat and try to put your head down and do the practice. Otherwise, on a regular basis, when you do the stretches, ensure you do it with breathing, because that is where it brings your attention, and this is what we call as breathing with awareness. So it is as simple as, you breathe in, you raise your head up, and you breathe out and you raise your neck down. So similarly, you can do other practices. It is the side-wide stretching with breathing, inhale and stretch to the other side, exhale. And you can also do, inhale and exhale to the right side, and inhale, slowly come back, exhale to the left. So these three practices have to be done regularly. And along with this, you should do your shoulder rotation, a simple shoulder rotation like this, which is shoulder cuff movement, again with breathing. So you breathe in and you breathe out. So do it about 10 times backward, 10 times forward, and you can do some more exercises on the shoulders. So if I, go on explaining, I think we'll need a lot of time. So, we can always connect and take you to the module if you're interested.
Yes, I think that's a beautiful, it's very, very clear understanding. And fortunately, some of those yoga and pranayama Swamiji taught us, and all of our participants of IWS be quite familiar. For the others, really, it will be helpful once our next program, which is coming up shortly, if you also join. Other than that, there are a few questions. I think we have about 10 more minutes. I will just read out some of them. One of them is how to avoid sinus headache.
Right. Okay. Yeah, sinus headache mimics migraine quite well, closer. Many of them are confused whether it's a sinus headache or a migraine. That apart, you can prevent sinus headache, one, with dietary norms, because if you take anything cold, anything refrigerated, especially when it is raining, then it will definitely trigger. Even otherwise, this variation in temperature is what you have to avoid sinus headaches. You are, say, in a hotter place, say if you take Mumbai, Chennai as an example, and then you go out, it is hot, you're inside, you're in an air-conditioned room. So this is a very, very quick trigger for sinus headache. So avoid temperature variations, avoid anything which is chilled, refrigerated, things like curd as well, because though curd is recommended for calcium intake, it can induce more mucus formation and therefore headache. If you take it, understand how you can take it, maybe with some ginger into it, a buttermilk form with ginger. So many more things, but on a very broader note, these are some of the things which you can avoid. And of course, when you take wash your hair, many of them or most of them face a sinus headache. So as soon as you wash your hair, you ensure that you dry it up well. Preferably, if you're conscious about your hair, do not use a hair dryer, naturally dry it. And there is one simple tip in Ayurveda which can really help you. Use Rasnadi Churna, which is available in all the Ayurveda stores. Take 2 pinches of it and just apply it to this crown area soon after your hair wash. This will actually reduce the vata and therefore reduce an attack of sinus headache.
Thank you. That again, a very clear explanations how to handle it. Just my simple query, many of those trigger point looks like sometime to me allergic reaction. How do you know it's not allergic, it's a migraine? Is there any specific guidelines?
See, migraine usually doesn't get triggered with an allergy, because migraine has nothing to do with an allergen, but it can happen when you have, or when you're exposed. So same factors such as, maybe cold food, which can trigger a sinus headache or a migraine headache. So it's more about probably visiting a physician, an Ayurveda physician or any physician, to understand the difference. So, I mean, educating the people would be only on a larger basis to this extent. And accordingly, get yourself treated, because both of them are treatable. Rather, sinus headache is easier to treat.
Yes. Now there is a request question made. Please recommend some of the authentic Ayurvedic Institute for Panchakarma in Bangalore. You have any suggestion?
So we are in Bangalore, so I can start with ourselves.
Sure.
So, yeah. And then yes, in your areas you can find out. You can visit SVASA. There also we have a hospital. We have 2 clinics when it comes to Vivekananda Health Global, which is in HSR layout and HRBR layout in Bangalore.
Oh, you have 2 centers in HRBR layout. That's interesting, because some of our members stay close to that area. So,
okay.
And also you have a teleconsultation, I think, which you also have. Possibly we should be able to collaborate and take the teleconsultation with you, anybody want to do in future, and attend some of your activities. And I think some of the questions you have taken, and some person already told, I went through Panchakarma treatment 10 years ago and migraine not occurred since then. I mean, looks like Panchakarma is very effective treatment for migraine.
Yes, it is. So we also understood how it could be, and therefore, the proposed mechanisms were also briefed. But many times, not for everyone, a migraine would go away completely. Sometimes you can always do a Panchakarma after a year or 2 years, and just see that you keep doing yoga, take care of your diet, lifestyle. It may not come at all for many.
Yeah, those are the preventive measures. Actually, some of those things you have covered beautifully. There is something preventions. Even IWSP practice, anybody realized they've seen a lot of improvement once they start practicing and changing their lifestyle. So, and there is some specific questions on medicine. Is the Ayurvedic medicine of Patanjali is good to take?
So I'm sorry, I cannot comment about any company. I think you will have to look at an answer for that. But overall, and in general, since your suggestion is, go with traditional brands, go with traditional medicines. So you have a Kadha. Kadha is, the same. You take a Chyawanprash, it is same whether you take it from XYZ company. But definitely know the quality of the products before you take quality of the company.
Okay, I think few new questions has come. So one of them is, when I do breathing, especially inhale, I feel trigger of migraine, and when I spend more time in AC, I also feel migraine. Any
Correct.
comment?
Yeah. So as we have already explained that during the presentation as well, that any temperature variation, cold, anything can cause a trigger of migraine. Why it happens? See, now I may have the same experience, but it may not come to me. But an individual may have an experience, but a migraine headache can occur. This is because his, the neuronal network is very sensitive. So it is like now nasal allergy. So some people have very, very common nasal allergy, some don't. Why is it? Because your nasal mucosa or the lining inside your nostril is very, very sensitive. It's like touch, you can sneeze. But somebody you might even rub, they may not sneeze. So the same process happens in the brain as well. And therefore you have to work on, especially reducing the sensitivity, and that will further on reduce the the onset of headache.
Okay, there is another question which is coming on the food items related to pitta. Can you suggest a diet which is suitable for a person with a pitta?
Yeah, generically a person with pitta, can avoid something which is spicy, oily, which is hot. Hot, I mean, temperature-wise hot, and overall, also avoid pungent things like green chilies, capsicum. These are all sure triggers, for a pitta individual. If he is susceptible to migraine, it increases pitta and therefore a migraine as well. Apart from that, you should have your food which is much more moderate in its quantity, sorry, and then also use water which is with maybe used boiled with jeera or cumin seed, because that can regulate your pitta. This doesn't mean you drink a kadha made up of cumin. It just means that you can drink, typically a water, say a 1 liter of water boiled in half teaspoon jeera, boil it and drink it, across the day here and there. Apart from this, also take normal water. So some very, brief tips are these.
Okay. I think there's a clear guidelines for specific person. Always Ayurveda is a system of medicine, is not like allopathy that you take a tablet based on your symptoms. Sometimes it has to be consulted for same symptoms. I heard Ayurveda suggests different medicine, depends on your personality. That's where all this Brittis comes in picture, which only the expert like Dr. Vasudha can suggest. So any specific problem like a medicine, if you take it will go away and it comes back when you stop the medicine. That's not the way to treat. For your prevention, please consult doctor with the help of our telehealth services, and surely you can prevent your migraine in future. And there is a specific question. You have any consulting facility in Ramakrishna Mutt, Hyderabad? Hyderabad, do you have any consulting facility? That's the question to Dr. Vasudha again.
Okay. Hyderabad Ramakrishna Mutt, I don't think that is what we are associated with is Vivekananda Institute for Human Excellence. I don't think they have consultation facilities. So they can probably get in touch with us directly at Vivekananda Health Global.
Okay. Thanks for the clear-cut guidelines. I think the subject is so vast, we can keep on talking more and more on it. Still, you only get your headache there. Headache won't go away. So better learn and then practice it. That's what IWS also recommends. It's not only listening and learning, but finally boil down to practice. Then only you'll see the difference. No tablet will help you unless you practice yourself. And that's where we see the greatest benefit. And thank you, Dr. Vasudha Sharma, for this wonderful time and presentations, giving a clear guidelines and clear concept, even though migraine and headache, such a simple subject like a sleep, but it's such a complex when you go to the science and see how to really enjoy the benefit once you learn it and practice. So I'd like to thank you again for your wonderful presentations and make it such a clear guidelines and directions for all our participants. I'd like to thank Swamiji and Dr. Sushil Sharma for their comments and helping that IWSP, which I will present a short slides which are going to come up in in next month. So anybody want to change your lifestyle, please join IWSP next program, which is coming up in August 12th. This will be one of the introductory sessions. Please visit our website, myiwsp.com. And also you have a helpline number if you contact our helpline number. So that will be available for knowing more information and how to get in touch with Dr. Vasudha Sharma. Those details also we can help you once you get in touch with us. And also it will help everyone to get the benefits. So with these few words, I'd like to conclude because we have reached towards 7 o'clock as on the targeted time. We promise that everyone not only will try to talk the subject, but everyone's time also important. With these few words, thank you very much and namaste, and see you again on our future interaction.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you very much.